Well, apparently I forgot to hit record on the last one, so you missed some of the stuff, but all you really missed was me just getting this a little darker, the coarse shadows. And then we have this part right here. And I just did this. I thought the video was rolling, but it wasn't. So we know that these are converging. So we know this and this, they're converging like this. We know this ball is also converging. So it's kind of like they're going into a hole. And so that's how we know what to do with this space that we may not be sure about at the start. And the darker it is, the more it's going to donate that it's going deep. But still, the edges are still going kind of in the shape of the other shapes. And it's going to be darkest right there at that center. Okay, so I got that. Now this edge, I kind of want to make this edge a little bit, so you can kind of play around a little. I just want this little teeny thing right here, just to kind of give it some depth. So as you do more of these, you can kind of notice where you can put little things like that. Okay. So the next thing is we have this part. So we know something's going on in here. We have this space. Well, same thing as over here. They're not converging at a point, but still they're converging. So this one's rounding under. This one's also going to round under. So this area right here is also going to be dark. And it's going to gradually so that'll kind of push this area back. So anytime it's dark like that, it's going to push an area back and it's going to indent in. Okay, so right up here, this is sitting on this. They're really tightly connected, but still there's going to be a little bit of a shadow kind of right where they connect. Maybe not even quite a shadow, but a little dark area like that. Okay, now the next thing is we got to kind of figure out what happens here. So like I said, I like to take care of these transitional areas kind of at the end. I kind of know what they're doing before I start. I knew that these were pushing back, so I knew what to do, but I kind of leave them for the end. I get the main part done, then I worry about those. Okay, so I know that this, I don't want it to just be abrupt. Kind of want it to flow with this a little. So I'm just going to kind of blend that area in, because I just want it to be nice and smooth. I mean, you can still kind of see because the way I'd drawn it, still kind of got that, but in real life, if we didn't have that line there, they would just kind of blend with each other. Then it tapers out. Just like these, they just kind of taper out. Maybe a little thing up there. Okay, so now we have this drawing pretty much done. Since the shadow's coming from the top, we're not going to have any big shadows out. They're just going to kind of be under here. So the way we know, we haven't really gotten into shadows, but for our purposes here, if your light is coming from the top, they're just going to be right underneath. They do become different. If your light's coming from the right-hand side, your shadows are going to be out this way. So if my light was pretend coming this way, my shadows would be out this way. But for our purposes, our light's coming down at the top. So we're just going to have our little cast shadows are just going to be right underneath our forms. Since they're shadows, they're going to be kind of the darkest part of the whole drawing. And right at the bottom, they're going to be really dark, if you remember, right next to the form. And since these cast shadows are pretty close in because the light's coming down, they have pretty defined edges. As they went out further, the edges would obviously be a little less defined. They're pretty close in, so that's where they are. And then if you wanted, I mean, you could put like a really light shadow or something that's coming down. So that's kind of how this one would work. Man, in the video it's hard to see the coarse shadows. My video camera makes these look different than they look on the paper. You darken these coarse shadows a little bit. Blend them in a little. Okay, so that's how that one. Here's one that's smoothed out, so it looks a little differently. So you can kind of see, I mean, the one I just did now, I didn't take as much time on. So those are both blended, and I'll post these on Canvas. And then we have that one. So we I want the reflected light. Don't forget to give your stuff a little bit of the reflected light, not too much, just enough that you can kind of see. Okay, I actually want this a lot darker right in here. So it really sticks out. Okay, so that's how that one works. Now that's the end of this video, but I'm going to get out my other ones and we're going to look more at some that have a little more complexity.